Hello, and thank you so much for joining me. So today we're going to be utilizing some combos from this deck that are going to be mainly focusing on our Nunu, Nauya, and Ogdoadic Daybreak. Two of these combos will be focusing on Aratama and Sakitama in the deck and how they help establish plays. So you can definitely mix them up as this video will strictly be two-card combos, not opening Snake Rain. One of the combos will be going into Cosmic Slicer Zero, and the other combos will be ending on the RagnaRaika inboards. Without further ado, let's get started. Alright, and for our first combo here, we're actually going to be utilizing our Cosmic Slicer lock, utilizing a Nauya and a Sakitama in hand. I really like Sakitama in the deck just because it allows us a free normal summon as well as discard fodder for some of our cards that do need to be discarded, and we don't want to utilize our main cards. So, to begin, we're going to be activating Nauya's effect in hand to discard itself and then send a copy of Keurse from deck to graveyard, and then we're going to normal summon Sakitama. Sakitama will then tribute our, Cursor rather, will tribute our Sakitama and summon itself. Chainlink 1 will be Sakitama to add back to hand. Chainlink 2, we're going to trigger Keurse to special summon our Nauya from graveyard to the field. On summon, Nauya will add a copy of Ogdoadic Daybreak from deck to hand, and then we're going to shotgun that Daybreak, targeting our Keurse to summon. Get used to it. 1, 2, 3, 4 tokens here. From here, now the difference between this combo and other combos is our Sakitama will actually be also setting up a Reptilianne at the end. Don't worry, you'll see it. We're going to start by drawing a card. We're going to activate our Haggard Lizardos, tributing off a Ogdoadic token, and then our Nauya, and then banishing our copy of Keurse from the graveyard to draw one card. Haggard Lizardos says you can banish one monster face up on the field or graveyard with 2,000 less attack. Then target will face that monster on the field and make its attack equal to the attack of that monster banished. And if it was a reptile originally, you draw one card. From here, we're going to link into our Cosmic Slicer Zero, targeting our, tributing our Lizardos and then one of our Ogdoadic tokens, and summoning itself into the extra monster zone. We're going to trigger its effect and add a copy of Planet Pollutant Virus from deck to hand. Now we're going to link off our last two tokens to go into a copy of Alien Shock Trooper M-Frame, which will be our requirement for our Planet Pollutant Virus to destroy a monster. Now we're going to go into our Reptilianne line. We're going to activate Ogdoadic Daybreak in the graveyard and shuffle back our Keurse to send a copy of Night Sword Serpent to the grave, and on being sent to the grave, will activate its effect to summon itself to the field. Then at Sakitama in hand, we can actually activate its effect to normal summon itself, and then overlay both for a copy of Traptrix Reptilianne. What this ends you on is a copy of Reptilianne to send one of your hole traps to the graveyard. In our case, we're running Traptrix Trap Hole of Nightmares, and we're running two copies of Floodgate Trap Hole to negate monster effects in the hand, and then we also have our Planet Pollutant Virus to destroy our M-Frame and lockout monster effects for 3 turns. What Cosmic Slicer Zol says is monsters your opponent controls 8 counters or change defense position. Also, neither player can activate their effects. You can only use this effect once per turn. That being said, so the issue with Zol is it does not work on cards like Super Heavy Samurai because their effects are not activated, but it does effectively lock out cards. It does not negate them, it simply means you cannot activate them. Alright, and for our second combo here, we're going to be going into our RagnaRaika combo, link combos here, utilizing a Nunu and an Aratama in our opening hand. From here, we're going to activate Nunu to start, and we're going to be sending a copy of RagnaRaika Armored Lizard to the graveyard. We're then going to activate, firstly, our Nunu from the graveyard to summon itself, and an Aratama to summon itself from the hand. On summon, it will activate to add a copy of Sakitama from deck to hand, and you're going to overlay both of those monsters in the King of the Pharaoh Imps. It's very important to note, Nunu summoned from the grave, by its own effect, does lock you into Reptile, so we have to go into our King of the Pharaoh Imps here. King of the Pharaoh Imps will detach a material. We're going to attach our Nunu here to add a copy of Nauya from our deck to hand. Nauya, much like the same, will discard itself, send a copy of Keurse, and then Keurse will tribute our King of the Pharaoh Imps to summon itself, and then summon a copy of Nauya. Same as before, we're going to be activating Nauya to add an Ogdoadic Daybreak. We're going to Daybreak here to tribute off our Keurse, summoning 1, 2, 3, 4 tokens. Okay. From here, we're going to be going into our RagnaRaika plays. We're not going to be utilizing Lizard Dose in this combo. If you had an extra card for an extender, then absolutely. But in this case, we're going to be ending on Stag Sovereign Chain Coils and then the RagnaRaika Trap. To start, we're going to be utilizing Skeletal Soldier. We're going to target our Ogdoadic token and then summon, or other tokens rather, and then summon it onto the field here. And we're going to activate Skeletal Soldier to summon a copy of Armored Lizard. We are going to banish monsters. We're not going to banish it as of right now. We're going to then further link into our Mantis Monk, targeting our Skeletal Soldier and then the Ogdoadic token to summon itself. And we have 1, 2 cards we can banish. We're going to do Mantis Monk, banish our Keurse, banish our King of the Feral Imps, and we're going to add a copy of Hunting Dance to our hand. It is very important to note that the only card that we have right now that can be shuffled back into the deck is going to be our Armored Lizard, and we need other level 4s to go into our Rafflesia. So we actually are going to summon Sakitama from our hand here onto the field, and then we're going to overlay for Rafflesia, just to make space on the field for now. We're then going to be going into Ogdoadic Daybreak to send a copy of Keurse back into the deck, and then we're going to send a copy of Nightsword Serpent from the field, from the graveyard to the field. We're going to go Chain Coils, tributing off our Mantis Monk, and one of our 2 Ogdoadic cards here, or one of our 2 Reptile cards here that will not go to the graveyard. We're going to use our remaining Ogdoadic token to summon itself. And then we're going to go into Stag Sovereign, targeting our Chain Coils and then our Nightsword Serpent to go to the graveyard. We still have our Armored Lizard on the field. We're going to be shuffling that back to get our Chain Coils back onto the field by summoning itself from grave, which ends us on a board of Rafflesia for to send one of our Hole Traps at the gate. This ends on Chain Coils. When the opponent if your opponent activates a monster effect, neither player can activate effects in the hand this turn. As well as our Stag Sovereign, which says that if a monster special summon from the opponent's deck and or extra deck, you can destroy non-targeting 2 monsters on the field. As well as a copy of Ragnaraika Hunting Dance in the hand, which allows us to target 2 cards and destroy them. And if it's in the grave, one of our insects, plants, or reptile monsters that we control are destroyed with battle card effect, we can banish this card to target 1 monster our opponent controls and destroy it. Okay, and for our last combo here, this one's a little complicated. Hopefully I can get this right the first time. We're going to be utilizing a copy of Nauya and a copy of Nunu in our opening hand to end on our RagnaRaika board, as well as a copy of Alien Shock Trooper as an insurance policy, and then Sacred Tree Beast at Puritan. This is a 2-card combo, pure. You do not need any extra cards, though we will be adding a card on the way, so if you have something you want to cycle out, this will be a good opportunity to do it. We're going to start by sending Nauya to the grave to activate his effect to send a copy of Keurse, and then activate Nunu to do the same to send a copy of RagnaRaika Armored Lizard. We're going to activate Nunu from the grave to summon itself, and then we're immediately going to tribute it off with Keurse to summon itself, and then, much like before, summon off Nauya. Nauya effect will then add a copy of Ogdoadic Daybreak from deck to hand. Ogdoadic Daybreak will then activate to, once again, 1, 2, 3, 4 tokens. And then we're going to be utilizing a RagnaRaika Skeletal Soldier here to utilize that Armored Lizard we put in the grave earlier. We're going to summon here in defense position, and we're going to overlay both our Nauya and our RagnaRaika Armored Lizard, so Nauya will not be banished, to go for a King of the Feral Imps. Now, this is important so we can go into our Evil Seed. We're going to attach 1 to get a copy of Serpentine Princess. From here, we're going to get our additional card we're going to need to banish for our Evil Seed by summoning out a Lizard Dose, tributing off our King of the Feral Imps and one of our remaining Ogdoadic tokens. It is very important that this card stays on the field. We're going to activate our Haggard Lizard Dose, and we're going to be banishing a copy of our Keurse here to target itself and draw 1 card. Assuming this card's not 1-for-1 and is any other card, it'll make sense. We're then going to go into our RagnaRaika Mantis Monk, contributing off our Skeletal Soldier and our Ogdoadic token. And then we're going to normal summon our Serpentine Princess. This is how we're going to get to our RagnaRaika plays. We're going to do Skeletal Soldier to shuffle back the Serpentine Princess, and when it's shuffled back, it will special summon a level 3 or lower monster from my deck. So, on summon, it's going to actually summon our Lonefire Blossom. It is very important that you target the Lonefire Blossom here and not the Evil Seed itself, because we need this to get Strenna tributed for the Hyperion. We're going to summon out our Lonefire Blossom and immediately activate its effect to tribute itself to summon the Evil Seed. Evil Seed, on summon, will activate to add 2 RagnaRaika cards that are either banished or in the deck to our hand. We're going to be adding a copy of Samurai Beetle and a copy of Armored Lizard from deck to hand. We're then going to banish that extra card we drew from our Haggard Lizardos, and then we're going to activate a Ogdoadic Daybreak in the graveyard to shuffle back our Keurse and then send a copy of Night Sword Serpent from our deck to the grave. When it's sent to the grave, we'll activate its effect to summon itself to the field, and then we'll be activating our Armored Lizard to then banish our Nauya from the grave. We're going to summon itself and then overlay both monsters into a copy of Rika Queen Strenna. And it's very important to note, the Strenna here can actually add a card back to the hand, and we are going to be utilizing this effect before we tribute it off, but we don't want to activate it now because the only card it can target is a Lonefire Blossom. We're going to be adding this RagnaRaika the Evil Seed back to our hand. So we're then going to go into RagnaRaika Samurai Beetle, and we're going to shuffle back our Nauya, and then we're going to activate our Mantis Monk to banish the other Armored Lizard in our grave, as well as the King of the Feral Imps that is in the grave, to get our copy of Hunting Dance. That's going to be our other form of disruption for the rest of the turn. We're going to tribute, we're going to use our Evil Seed, our Samurai Beetle, and our Mantis Monk here to go into a Link 5 Stag Sovereign as our first piece of inboard here. When Samurai Beetle was tributed for, we used the material rather for a Link monster, you can target a level 4 or lower insect, plant, or reptile from your graveyard and special summon it. This is where we're going to summon our Lonefire Blossom to the field. Lonefire Blossom's not once per turn. Rika Queen Strenna here is actually going to add us back our copy of Evil Seed that we can use for our discard for the Alien Shock Trooper. We'll get into that later. Lonefire Blossom will then activate its effect to tribute our Rika Queen Strenna, summoning our second RagnaRaika Evil Seed. Strenna in the grave will activate its effect to summon out the Hyperion and attach Strenna as material. From here, we have Evil Monk. We have a bunch of other places we can go into as well. What we're going to be doing is we're going to be activating our Mantis Monk to shuffle back our other Mantis Monk, our other Evil Seed, and activating the Hyperion's effect to attach one of our cards onto it as material. I like attaching the Night Sword Serpent just because it allows us to special summon it when it's sent as when it's attached as material. It also allows us to have just another material that we don't have to worry about being banished or just a hard card to get back to. So Evil Mantis Monk here, we're then going to go into our Chain Coils, targeting, attributing off our Lonefire Blossom, and then our Mantis Monk to go into our second reptile. The reason this is for it, we are doing this is because our Shock Trooper in frame does require 2 reptile monsters, which is going to be our Haggard Lizardos, and then our Chain Coils to link summon that monster. Now, this Skeletal Soldier here on the end, we're going to be shuffling that back to the extra deck to summon a copy of our Chain Coils back from the grave. And then we have our end board here. This board ends on a Sacred Tree Beast Hyperion, which is a monster negate on both the end of our turn and their turn. So if they're holding us with Nibiru, you can still negate that Nibiru freely. We're holding onto a copy of Stag Sovereign, which again, non-target to destroy 2. Chain Coils, the activated monster effect, cannot activate from the hand for the rest of the turn. And while I don't necessarily, we don't need the Shock Trooper in-frame on the field here, I very much enjoy it here because if they did have waited out the board with Raigeki or something along those lines, we can still summon back either our Armored Lizard, or if we manage to get another reptile in the graveyard, we can summon them back as well. So if you had a way, for example, to get Ogdoabyss into the grave throughout the turn with the other cards that you have in hand, you can utilize Shock Trooper to quickly discard the Ragnaraika Evil Seed and get a material, so that way you can summon it out. The other piece of random option we have here is, of course, our Hunting Dance, which allows us to destroy 2 cards, and then when any one of these monsters is destroyed, we will be able to destroy a monster on the field. And with that, we're going to end it here. I would very much appreciate any comments or suggestions that you may have. You can drop them in the comments, and I will 100% read them. What I will say is, while these combos are just examples of what the deck can do, this deck is very freeform. You have a lot of different options, from things that you can utilize with the cards in your hand to different routes that you can go into and different directions you can go into. If you've noticed that at almost any point in time, you can stop your combo and just end on the Cosmic Slice of Zero, or if you happen to have more cards in hand, you can do your Zero board and then keep going into further combos if you wanted to. We'll also be utilizing some shorter combos, maybe not so much focusing on the Aratama Sakitama, and then looking into other combos that we can utilize with opening Snake Rain or 1-for-1 in the opening hand in a later video. But with that, I want to thank you so much for joining me, and we'll see you next time.